Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Today I would like to welcome Jim Hansela and Dave and Pam Bloom, and they're going to be talking about the mission trips that you've been on down in Kentucky, but they will introduce themselves a little bit later. I do have some announcements. For those of you who know Karen Lindquist, her 80th birthday is today, so if you want to give her a call or send her a card, 80's the new 70, right? Also, Marlene had such a great party last Sunday, and I told her now that she's had a retirement party, she has to retire, right? So it was a very nice party, yes, yeah. Okay, is there any other announcements that we need to make? There's a few in our announcement sheet you can read. Okay. Well, let's stand for our call to worship. Whoever comes to Christ will never hunger. Whoever believes in him will never thirst. Blessed be the bread of life and the living water. Come, children of God, come and find refuge and strength.
Our souls wait for the Lord.
Come, heirs with Christ, come and find forgiveness and joy.
Our souls wait for the Lord. More than those who watch for the morning.
Come, people of faith. Come to the one who is attentive to our pleas.
Our souls wait for the Lord. More than those who watch for the morning.
Our organist is going to be choosing the hymn. So what number are we singing today? 128, and you can remain standing if you are able, and if not, you are welcome to sit down. So 128, He Leadeth Me. You may be seated. Would you please join me in the opening prayer in your bulletins? Source of faithful love, you redeem us from our wrongs. We come before you today, eager to be refreshed in body and to be made whole in spirit. Feed us from living bread that comes down from heaven, for we are drawn to your Son as steel is drawn to a magnet. Build up our community of faith through the power of your Holy Spirit, that we may live as those who are worthy of our calling. Amen. So now I am going to hand it over to Jim Hansela, and would you please introduce Dave and Pam then too? And he is going to just speak about the mission that they're on in Kentucky, and then after he speaks, we're going to have some questions and answer time. So any questions that you have, please write them down if you're going to forget them. I've got mine written down, and Dave and Pam are going to be able to hopefully answer those for us. So Jim, come on up. And actually I was going to wipe off the microphone.
Somebody play Scrabble, let's see.
I see, yep.
I have two daughters who I play online Scrabble.
Oh, do ya?
Called Word Food.
Oh my gosh, you're way ahead of me. I was gonna wipe this off, but.
Oh, that's okay.
Are you sure? Because this is very wet. I don't want to shock him.
We're good.
Okay, I'm gonna try to get out of your way here.
Okay.
There you go.
Well, good morning. Good morning. You all know how this guy Murphy works. You know, whatever can go wrong will go wrong. I did a few notes for myself over the weekend here, and anyhow, I had ended up, for some reason, my printer wouldn't work. And so I thought, well, I'm going to have to just literally bring my computer along and hold it up here and read off of that. But when I went back to where my printer's at, what I have there, and for multiple tries, I had multiple copies of what I was going to do. So here we are. Okay. My name is Jim Hansela. I'm on the missions committee of the Grand Rapids United Methodist Church. Also, Dave and Pam Bloom are here, sitting in the front row. There are our construction leaders and gurus and fountain of knowledge, where things like that are concerned for us who can maybe carry a board or pound a nail, or, well, they use screws now, but anyway. So, and yeah, they are dedicated, talented, and extremely good resource for our committee. They really know what they're doing, and they know how to do things right. So, as a church, we then tend to dedicate a large part of our budget to missions work. Because there is such a great need for outreach, we usually operate at the limits of money and available volunteers. But it's hard to cut back on some of those efforts, because some of those efforts have resulted in tears of joy from people. You know, tears of, how can you say, you know, well, next time I'm going to do less because I don't have the time or the money. So we go ahead and we still push the envelope. So, yeah, as a matter of fact, in our trip there, we had this man who we was helping his mother basically, and him too. She had a stroke, and so she had a hard time getting around. He tries his best to do what he can do, and he really has a good heart. Although in his younger days, he basically messed up his mind and his body, both with drugs. So now he, you know, when he sees what we're doing and what he can do to help, he actually, I feel embarrassed for him sometimes, because he's just not capable of doing a whole lot more. And when he was trying to thank us for the work that he actually had tears in his eyes. So, and then he went to his car to get something out for me. It's a car that he takes his mother to the clinic with. And he got on the driver's side door, and he was working. He couldn't get a driver's side door, so he went to the passenger side door, and he was working on that, and he pulled it so hard he actually pulled the handle right off the door. It was so rusted. So he went to the back seat, crawled over the seat to get in front to get what he wanted. And these are people who live on the edge. Let's put it that way. And anyhow, as far as wanting to do stuff that is more convenient for us, I believe that we as Christians are commanded to spread God's word by word and action. What some of us don't have the eloquence to say, we can show by example. You know, we do stuff. We don't have the good speech that a good pastor or somebody like that, or a good salesman would have. Go that way. Spreading God's word and love are a large part of what we should be doing. And we do take that seriously. It gives us great personal satisfaction, but more than that, we are able to make positive changes in people's lives, changes that we can actually see. Therefore, the reason I'm here is to talk about our Kentucky project. Now, we traditionally have tried to, we usually did a in-state a week of missionary work. And then every other year we do an outstate, go to a different place. You know, I've been to Oklahoma, there's been people in church who've been to Mississippi, and then of course we're working in Kentucky right now. And although it's supposed to be an every other year thing, we thought this was so important that went actually back to next year to work on it. And we would have gone back into 2020 if the COVID hadn't hit. And of course, 2021 kind of messed things up too. Although Pam and Dave did go down there in March of this year. I have it in 2020, but it's March of this year. They went down there and they worked out of our camper trailer. And they did a lot of work down there, let's put it that way. In addition to us and Pam and Dave and our crew, there's a church from Missouri that has been down to help out back in 2019. They didn't make it in 2020. We don't know if they're going to make it this year or not. And then we do get a small amount of help from a Methodist church in Ohio. So we do have other people on this thing. And we would dearly love to have this thing ready by this winter so that people can get into it. It's just, you know, it just needs to get done. So anyhow, we were referred to this originally in Beattyville, Kentucky by the United Methodist Redbird Conference. And if anybody's not familiar with the Redbird Conference, it's one of 3 missionary conferences serving the church. And these are conferences that don't have the resources on their own to support themselves, so they are called missionary conferences. One serves the Appalachians, where we went. Another one is in Alaska, and another one serves Indian reservations. When we first went, they asked us to build a deck and steps for this woman here, so she could get out of her trailer more easily. Now, when she was getting out of the trailer prior to us being there were steps in the back. There was 2 doors. There's steps in the back and steps in the front. No steps in the front. In the front, they had a wheelbarrow on the ground that they'd step out of the trailer into the wheelbarrow and then to the ground. And believe me, that was a better option than the steps that they had in the background. So when she had to go to the doctor, the son would have to literally put her over the shoulder like a sack of potatoes, step into that wheelbarrow down right there, and then take her to the car and stuff. So that was our first project, build the deck and the steps. This church from Missouri came in afterwards and then added the ramp to it. And hopefully we're going to be able to be up to, whether it's practical or not, to our boss here, as to whether we can move that deck and steps over to the house that we're building as it's being finished up. So anyhow, like I said, we started in 2018. We decided to go back in 2019. Oh, by the way, our in-state mission trip right now is typically, as a committee, we will dedicate a week during the summer to work on a Habitat for Humanities project. But we operated just like you do a mission trip. We meet at the church, we have breakfast together in the morning, we go to the work site, and then come back. And it's a 5-day affair, and people will work the days that they can. But that's where we are right now. We talk about Kentucky. Please consider partnering with us in this project and possibly working as a team on future endeavors. I mean, it doesn't have to stop here. I mean, I think when you're trying to put a group of people together, health, age, job opportunities are always going to affect here or there. So trying to get a crew of 6 or 7 people together, sometimes it's not easy. So the more people, the bigger the pool, the better. So I would like to see us work together on this for future stuff. And they don't even have to be Methodist. We'll take anybody. So anyhow, let's see. Okay, when we're going to Kentucky, I'll give you some of the details on that. When we travel down there, we've been carpooling. Somebody usually has a vehicle that'll carry 4 people, and so we've usually had 2 vehicles going down and back. And we carpool that way, and we every day we try to change a little bit the people in there so you can talk and get to know people. Even though you go to church with them, sometimes you don't know people as well as you'd like. And what we do along the way there is we share the gasoline cost. Whoever provides a vehicle does not get involved with paying for the gas. The rest of us will go together, and it's fairly economic. I'm trying to think there, back to what I paid in the past, and I think my share of gas is maybe $70, $80, something like that, to pay for the vehicle. One of them has been a pickup truck that could haul supplies and different things down too. On the road, we have done 2 things. Sometimes Pastor Jim Casilius knows of churches along the way and contacts them, and we will stop at that church for the night and sleep in the sanctuary or wherever. Bring our own air mattresses, cots, sleep on the pews, whatever. But once we get down to Beattyville, we stay at the Faith United Methodist Church. They have the place set up there so that there's a kitchen with a refrigerator, stove, sink, microwave, coffee pot, stuff like that. There's 4 rooms in the basement, and there's some room for upstairs too. There's 4 rooms in the basement with bunks. This church from Missouri came in and they built this 10 sets of bunks. And so they can spread these out. So we can do theoretically 20 people, men here, women there, maybe a couple over here, whatever, however you want to do it. Or there's some people like Pam and Dave and others who brought their own facilities on a camper trailer or an RV. So, by the way, in Beattyville, the showers are available too. So, and typically, you may want, if you were to come with us, you may want to bring an air mattress or a cot to stay at a church on the road down, or you could rough it, however you want. Typically, we stayed at a church on the way down, and then on the way back, we will stay at a motel and relax, take showers, and the whole thing, right there. When going down there, we bring your own bedding and personal items, and any food or snacks that you particularly want. Although usually when we're there, we will get together and plan out meals, and people have certain things that they make, or this person makes that, and what they will do is we'll make a meal plan of what we're going to eat, and then somebody will break off work early enough during the day to go back and prepare that meal. So when we're all done, we come back, we shower, we're ready to eat. And we make a list of what we need. We go to the local grocery store and buy what's on the list. And there again, we just share the cost of whatever it is. And so it makes it, between gas and food, it can be done quite reasonably. financial-wise. We do bring money down. We don't use any money for our own costs traveling or while we're there, any of that money at all. That's our own money that we provide, but that's part of our contribution. And so the money we bring down there, it goes for construction materials, basically. And as you know, construction materials have gone nuts. So I'm so glad that we're this far ahead right now. Dave probably has a better handle on what's going on now. As a matter of fact, when you talk to him, you can find out what we need to do inside, from like plumbing or electricity and stuff like that.
And Jim, you told me it's where she's living right now is really small. Can you kind of explain where she's living right now, the little place that?
Okay, one of them is a trailer. Would you figure is that a 32-foot trailer, you think, or 26?
It's probably at least 32.
Okay, it's a trailer there, but it has no running water, no power to it. Well, they'll get power if you run a 100-yard extension cord to her place. Then, that will give her a light to maybe read or something at night. But she had a stroke, and so she doesn't get around real well. But she has a reclining chair that's right next to a wood stove, so she can at least put wood in the stove at night to stay warm in the wintertime. So. The son lives in the next trailer over, and it's a smaller trailer, more of a camper type trailer. It's not in very good shape either. I would rather live in a tractor shed here in Minnesota than either one of those places. So, let's see, what else here? Okay, currently we have just a hair over $10,000 on hand to finish this project. $5,000 is dedicated for a sewer. We're going to have to contract a sewer put in. And a power line will have to be extended to the home, but my guess is it's probably no more than 100 yards to a power line.
Actually, it's probably about 250 feet.
250 feet? Okay, so we need to bring a power line into that area. And of course, there are various costs involved with permits and inspections. So there's always a need. There's things that we can do, and there's things that we need to have done, just for permitting and that. So let's see. I don't know how you want to do this. You want to open up for questions now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know I had a few questions. Maybe Pam and Dave, if you can go up and use the microphone.
First of all, we'd like to thank all of you for inviting us here. I'm Dave Bloom, and this is my wife Pam. And without Jim, most of this stuff that's getting done in our missions,
They do the work.
it wouldn't be possible without Jim being the lead of the projects. My dad always told me, son, you either make enough money to get stuff done, or you learn to do it yourself. And I guess thanks to him and the grace of God, I've been blessed with the tools to figure things out and build things. I've been in the construction industry most of my life, but I'm one of those guys that's jack of all trades and maybe a master of one or two.
Dave, could you go up to the microphone a little bit more?
Okay.
We can hear you a little bit better.
I don't know if you want to. Do you have anything? I'm not a master of speaking. My accent. I do by. You notice what I do by accent. I'm not a very good speaker.
He does by doing. He doesn't speak, he does it. It's like my wife used to be, why talk about it? Just get on it.
Sometimes I think if you work alongside me, like my poor wife, I I'm known for my screaming more than my doing.
I have walked out before.
He's very particular that things be
I
done
have
right.
quit.
You have the peacemaker?
Nope, you're on your own. I'd like to talk a little bit about the poverty that's in this community.
Could you come up to the microphone?
The poverty that is in Beattyville is overwhelming. I've never seen poverty like this. It sort of made me emotional. These people live in like inhumane conditions. It's just heartbreaking to see how they live. And I guess that's where my heart's at with all of this.
No, I think you have to be there to see it, to really.
So I've never seen this before, and as he said, Paul he's very rough, difficult life. We spent a month down there last March. Last March, we spent the entire month of March down there working on this house. And Paul came up at least twice a day to talk to us and visit with us and
thank us.
And he can't believe that we keep coming back every year to do this for him. He's so overwhelmed. And he's got a very gentle heart, but we've learned a lot more about him and his life and how he grew up. And I mean, the abuse and the beating and the fighting, and it was not a good life. Yeah, I mean, his life's been difficult forever. So it's really become a close connection for us with all of this. And to see people who live with Pastor Jack from the Methodist Church down there has hooked up water, so they've got a hose that's coming up out of the yard at least now, so they don't have to go down to the stream to get their water. When you start thinking about having to live like that, it's really hard. But anyhow, so yeah, these people are really in sad shape and need help. And I think our church, we have people, but we don't have bodies. We don't have people who are physically able to come, and you don't have to know how to do a lot of stuff. You don't.
What kind of stuff will you be doing inside the new place that you're doing? Would it be painting and?
As far as where the project's at, it's kind of stalled because down there, there's a lot of hurry up and wait. The pace down there is so slow. Been waiting for electrical permits and you don't need a plumbing permit, but they need a permit for that septic system. Okay, so apparently the pastor's procured both of those things now. So, like Jim said, the $5,000, that's for the septic system. I'm trying to get that going where we can actually to get another contractor out there is even very difficult. Nobody is in a hurry. There's no one in a hurry down there for any reason.
What kind of stuff would we?
What we have, okay, so what's left to do? The electrical is roughed in. Pam did, and she did basically insulated the entire.
Insulator.
The entire house was insulated by Pam. The only thing left to insulate is above the drywall ceiling. We completed drywall ceilings when we were down there in March. We did as much drywall on the walls as we could, but we couldn't seal everything up because it has to have final inspection. But there's no plumbing yet, there's no septic yet, there's no water lines yet. And we're still on the fence about if there's going to be a supplemental heat besides the wood stove that's going to go in. And we've just been kind of going back and forth between Pastor Jack Short down there as far as what the needs of these people is going to be in the end. And then, so Pam and I had completed putting in the rest of the windows, the doors. We sealed up the gable ends, and we got all the house wrap on and everything. And right now, it's got to get the electrical okayed. and get that septic system in, and then we can go to town. I'm thinking with this extra money that we had, there's a couple of very generous donors in our church that threw another check down there, and it's trying to get someone to get going on this plumbing and the septic system, because besides permits, that's the two most important things that need to happen right now. Siding, that's the last thing on our list. And like Jim said, we're fortunate enough to be this far along in the project before the price of building materials has done what it's done. I myself, I haven't bought a 2x4 since it's been almost a year. It's been September. So, do I have any questions by anyone?
Yes. How many people do you have right now that are thinking about going, and is it like the week after Easter? Is that kind of what the plan is right now?
There's possibly two plans there.
Okay.
Well, we were hoping that we might be able to do it before and be home by Easter time. Because we go to Arizona in the winter, so we don't want to come home from Arizona at the end of March and turn around and go take the camper all the way back down to Kentucky. So it'd be easier for us to go straight across, but
So we don't have a definite date.
it's not a definite date.
Okay.
So
Everything's open.
yeah, it's still open at this point.
There might end up being two groups, maybe 3-4 people, something like that, hopefully. 3-4 people in each group. One group to go before Easter, to be home here by Easter, and the other group, which fits the pastor's schedule better, is to go right after Easter, when all the hassle's done. And so I'm thinking off the top of my head that maybe if we, like have 4 people go before and 4 people to go afterwards. Afterwards, we're going to have to depend on Pastor Jack Short has a son David, who's in the contracting business. And he's been, he's working more these days now, and he finally actually has a job with us there. And we might have to depend on him for that time after Easter to guide us.
How long do you stay? So it takes a day to get, or 2 days to get down there, basically, and then how many days?
Usually it was 10 days is what the total was. You got 2 days for traveling down, 2 days traveling back. And the first year we had one day that we had fun. So there's a state park with some beautiful hiking and trails and stuff, and that's not very far away, and so we did that. And that's optional of what people want to do.
Can teenagers go, or anybody under 18, or is there any limit?
You might know that better than we do.
Yeah, and I mean, it'd be during school time, so that could be an issue, but I just was wondering.
Yeah, it would be wonderful to have kids that would go.
Not
but-
too young. These folks have a lot of animals.
Okay.
So I think we had 17 dogs when we, when we were there in March, and I don't know how many cats. So,
Uncountable.
yeah. So there's a lot of animals. The dogs know us in our truck, so we're okay, but they kind of scared me the first time I was down there. I was like, oh, you have a whole herd of dogs come running at you. It's kind of scary. So I don't think too young of kids is not a good idea.
I'll make a comment that these people have a lot of animals. They don't have much money, so you think, why you have so many animals? But they take in strays, they take in whatever. And these animals actually literally become their family after a while.
It's all they have.
Yeah.
It's all they have.
So.
What is like a typical day? You get up, you eat, you get over to the job site. I mean, do you need gophers? Do you basically?
Oh, yeah.
To try to get stuff?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, so you're way out in the haulers.
This particular job's 11 miles from the church, so it's it's a close one.
Yeah. So it's you need people. You need people to be gophers. You need people. A lot of times we've had to have people to saw and run saws. We've had people that, we had one woman that came one time and her hand was injured and stuff, and so she couldn't do like physical labor, but she stayed back at the church and most of the time, and she kind of prepped things, all the meals and everything, went grocery shopping, she did that kind of stuff and took care of stuff, so it was easier for the rest of us coming back. And, so there's all kinds of different jobs. You don't have to be physically strong or have knowledge about every little thing, because he'll tell you what to do.
And Pam will tell you where to go.
But she's nice about it.
Those are my questions, so what questions do you guys have? Anybody?
Back there?
I'm thinking of the sewer system, because my husband installs sewers. Does it have to be a local contractor that does that down there?
Could you,
Does it have to be a local contractor that does the sewer?
he's
I
not,
do not know that.
Yeah.
oh, the sewer, yeah, I don't know.
Because she was saying that her husband does sewers, so maybe you guys could talk afterwards and just
Yeah, let's do that.
about that.
That'd be nice.
Where is this exactly located in the state of Kentucky? Is it in the south?
It's southeastern. It's about an hour, probably an hour and a half from the capital, Frankfurt, in Lexington area. That's Lee County.
And it's about 1,000 miles, right, from here? Is that?
Yeah, it's about 1,000 miles.
And that's 15 hours?
A
probably?
day and a half
Yeah.
driving usually works out for us.
When Pam and I went down, we stopped at an RV park in Champaign, Illinois. And then I think that's about an 8-hour run there, and it's probably, and it's about a 7-hour run the second day.
Would you be to the stage of painting this facility?
It's hard to say. I guess we've got some people who are donating money, so we can hire out some help right now to do, so depending on how much work gets done before we get down there, I guess I'm really hoping that they'll be done with the electrical, that electrical and the sewer will be in, and that the plumbing would be done. That would, and I might be having way too high of hopes, but if that was the case, then it would be finishing sheetrocking, and then there's mud and taping, and then painting, and
We're
that
not
kind of
far
stuff.
away from sealing up the walls, just things
Yeah.
need to happen.
yeah,
And then once we get out of those woods, then, when it's time to get the walls finished up, then it'll be go time for the painters, but it's been a bumpy road.
yeah.
So by next Easter, if there could be already 1 or 2 trips down there, depending on, and there should be more stuff done.
Yep.
And we would be coming in kind of as more of the end.
Be nice
so-
to be able to do the finishing work.
Right,
Yeah.
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 That's what we'd like to be.
As we'd like to be, yeah. That's
Yeah.
what we'd like.
Yeah, I think anybody who's been in construction knows it doesn't always go
Yeah.
as planned, so. Other questions?
When would you need to know who's going to come in?
Yeah, when would we need to actually, like, if we were gonna go in the Easter time one, or the early 2022,
Oh.
when would you need to know?
March.
Okay, so,
Yeah, it doesn't have to be anything right now. It's not, yeah.
March, and then we would probably have a
Some-
preliminary meeting to decide what we need to do, the plans to get there, and that sort of thing. Nothing real complicated.
Okay. Okay.
How
Anyone
big
else?
is the structure that you have?
How big is it?
The structure that's,
That is, it's 18 by 30, is it 18 by 38?
It's not, it's
About
not,
20 by 40, but it's not that big, I don't
this one
exactly.
right here, and you can come up and see, but,
it's not
It's-
very big, but they are overwhelmed thinking, they think it's huge. and it's not very big.
It's 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, and then a kitchen area, and then a dining room / living room area.
Perfect for them.
Yeah.
It's laid out pretty well. All the interior walls are done. But anyway, do you want to wrap it up?
Well, I do have one more comment to make, and that's regards the poverty down there. Itasca County is not the richest county in the state by any means. But if you compare statistically Itasca County with Lee County, Kentucky, Lee County, Kentucky has just about half the median income that Itasca County has. So it's
They're in need.
it's a tough place. There's cultural things, and the fact that I think poverty sometimes just sucks the ambition out of you. And so we want to get this done as an example, so people could say, hey, look what the Methodist Church did for these people. Wow, maybe there's something. And I don't know how continuous it has been. I'm really not sure there, but I guess we did get some people who had not attended church coming into faith. And what's the other one called? Springs?
New Springs.
New Springs.
New Springs, which is another church. Pastor Jack looks after two small churches. So maybe we're even getting some word out there by example.
For sure.
So,
Good. Well, thank
Well,
you guys.
and be downstairs there.
Yes,
if,
yes.
You got more questions up. Want to take a look at the pictures here? We can explain them a little bit better. My daughter had said that I should put tags on those things, explaining them a little bit better. But I have people coming in tomorrow to lay a new floor for my kitchen that by my dumb mistake, I flooded the kitchen, and so the floor had to be taken up and subfloor dried out and stuff like that. And then while I'm waiting for them to show up, we got hit by a windstorm, and I lost 6 trees. I got some roof damage and stuff like that. So that's my excuse. Anyway, so okay, so thank you.
Thank you, Jim, Pam, and Dave. And I hope that all of you be able to go downstairs. We're going to have a great fellowship time with some really good food and time to just, if we want to ask any more questions or talk about any type of mission that they've been on. So, I think sometimes we actually have to go away from our own communities to do something. And then when we come back, we've learned what we can do here. So there's a lot of little things in life that change people's lives, and sometimes we just don't know how to do it until we actually kind of get away from our own little world and do it somewhere else. And so my hope is that we'd be able to go and then come back and share our stories and realize what we can do here too. So. Before our offering time, I wanted to just share a quote by one of my favorite missionaries, Mother Teresa. And she said, "I can do things you cannot do. You can do things I cannot. But together, we can do great things." So I think we keep that in mind. Before our offering, in fact, for our offering, we are going to be collecting our noisy change probably now for the next couple months for this project, and we'll also be talking about what we can do for the mission, whether we're going to send bodies or resources. So we'll be talking about that in the next few weeks. But this video that I wanted to show you is kind of a reminder about volunteering, and there's one part where you'll see where there's a mission desk and there's no one at the mission desk. And for missions, you do need people like Jim, and then you also need the people like Dave and Pam, because there's all different jobs in a mission. And you also need the testimony when they come back to share. And so I think you'll enjoy this. So.
There is an epidemic sweeping across our nation's churches. That is the shrinking population of their volunteers. Alarming, to say the least. To investigate the impact, we set up our cameras, removed all the volunteers, and followed a man we'll call Pete, as he attended a local worship service without any volunteers. It started out like any other Sunday. Pete arrived 5 minutes late, as he always does. He assumed a greeter would open the door. He assumed wrong. Have you ever had church coffee that's been sitting around for a week? Well, Pete has. Deciding life was about more than just coffee, Pete finally answered the call to the mission field. But there was nobody picking up on the other end. To further complicate matters, Pete had to scoot down and get his own bulletin. He even had to hold and comfort a tiny human that he didn't understand. In fact, Pete didn't understand anything. So, how can we as a church body keep this from happening? It seems there's a very simple fix. It takes a little bit of time and a little bit of effort. So won't you do it for your church? Do it for yourself. God bless it. Volunteer for peace.
If any of you have ever seen the skit guys, they are hilarious. So, for our offering, we are collecting our offering in the back as you go out, and we have Nashwauk and plates for Pengilly. And like I said, for this mission project, we will be collecting starting next week for that. So would you please stand, and we will sing our Praise God from Whom All Blessings Flow, page 95 if you need it. Would you please join me in the offering prayer in your bulletin? Bountiful God, in praise and thanksgiving for your many blessings, receive our tithes and offerings that they may be for the world signs of the bread of heaven and the fullness of your grace. For we came here hungry for your Spirit, and you fed us with food that satisfies. We came here thirsting for your grace, and you revived us in need. In humble thanks, we thank you. Amen. Cindy, what's our next choice?
140.
140. How great is thy faithfulness? 140.
There is no shadow
For the benediction, I'd like to share some more words of wisdom by Mother Teresa, and she says, "Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow has not yet come. We have only today. So let's begin." Sounds like an amen. Would you please come up and take a look at the project, and Dave and Pam and Jim could answer any questions, and then we will move down to fellowship downstairs. There's a lot of goodies, so please join us downstairs.